The windshield wipers were fighting a losing battle against the rain. Back and forth, but the water just kept coming down harder. Lisa gripped the steering wheel tighter as another strange sound came from under the hood. It wasn't the first weird noise her car had made that evening, but this one was different. This one sounded expensive. "Mommy, why is the car making that sound?" The small voice from the back seat made Lisa's chest tighten. She glanced in the rearview mirror at her daughter, Sophie, who was 6 years old and holding on to that worn-out stuffed bunny she'd had since she was 2. The bunny had seen better days, just like everything else in their lives lately. "It's okay, sweetie. The car's just tired. We're all tired." That was the understatement of the year. Lisa had been up since 5 that morning, gotten Sophie ready for school, worked a full shift at the office, picked up Sophie, and then driven 3 hours south to the hospital where her mom was getting treatment. 3 hours there, 2 hours at the hospital, and now they were supposed to be on the 3-hour drive back home. Except the car had other plans. The grinding sound got louder. Lisa felt her heart start racing. She'd been ignoring the check engine light for 2 weeks now, telling herself it could wait until next paycheck. Then the next paycheck had gone to her mom's medication costs. The one before that had covered Sophie's unexpected dental work. There was always something, always another bill, always another reason why the car had to wait. Well, the car was done waiting. Lisa hit the turn signal and started moving toward the shoulder of the highway. The rain was coming down so hard now that she could barely see the white lines on the road. Other cars zoomed past them, their headlights blurring into streaks of yellow and white. Each one sent up a spray of water that crashed against her windows. "Are we stopping?" Sophie asked. There was a slight wobble in her voice that she was trying to hide. Kids always knew when something was wrong, no matter how hard you tried to pretend everything was fine. "Just for a minute, baby. Just for a minute." The car rolled onto the shoulder and Lisa put it in park. She sat there for a moment, listening to the rain drum on the roof and the weird clicking sound the engine was making now that they'd stopped. Her hands were shaking. She looked down at them on the steering wheel and watched them tremble like they belonged to someone else. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not tonight. Not when they were so far from home in the middle of nowhere, with a 6-year-old in the back seat who'd already been through too much lately. Sophie had been so brave about everything with her grandmother. She'd drawn pictures for her, made cards, never complained about the long drives to the hospital. She deserved a mom who had it together, who could afford to fix the car before it broke down, who didn't have to choose between car repairs and keeping the lights on. Lisa reached for her phone. No signal. Of course there was no signal. She held it up, watching the little bars at the top stay empty. She moved it around, trying different angles like that ever actually worked. Nothing. "What are we going to do?" Sophie's voice was smaller now. "We're going to figure it out. We always figure it out, right?" Lisa tried to sound confident, but even to her own ears the words felt hollow. She looked out at the darkness beyond her window. They were somewhere on Highway 47, she knew that much. There had been a town about 10 miles back, but she hadn't seen any signs for the next one. The rain was getting worse, if that was even possible. The wind was picking up too, making the car rock slightly. She tried turning the key. The engine made a sound like a dying animal and then nothing. She tried again. Same result. On the third try, there wasn't even that much. Just a clicking sound and then silence. Lisa let her head fall forward onto the steering wheel. She wanted to cry, but she couldn't. Not with Sophie watching. 6-year-olds didn't need to see their mothers fall apart on the side of the highway in the rain. They needed to see strength even when there wasn't any left to give. "Mommy, I'm okay, sweetie." Just thinking. But she wasn't thinking. Her mind was racing through possibilities and finding nothing good. She had $43 in her checking account. She knew that exactly because she'd checked it 3 times that morning, hoping somehow the number would change. Her credit card was maxed out. Her mom couldn't help, not with all the medical bills. Her brother had his own family to worry about. There was no one to call even if she had a signal. A semi-truck roared past so close that their car shook. The spray of water it threw up completely covered their windows for a moment, and Sophie let out a little yelp of surprise. "It's okay. We're safe. We're off the road. We're okay." Lisa kept repeating it, maybe more for herself than for Sophie. They were okay. They were alive. They were together. That's what mattered. Everything else was just details, right? Just problems to solve. She'd solved problems before. Lots of them, but sitting there in the dark, with the rain pounding down and her dead car and her scared daughter and no phone signal and no money and no way home, It was hard to remember how she'd solved those other problems. It was hard to remember ever feeling like things would work out. "I'm hungry," Sophie said quietly. Lisa closed her eyes. Of course she was hungry. It was almost 8 o'clock at night. They'd grabbed fast food on the way to the hospital hours ago. But that had been hours ago. There were some crackers in Lisa's purse, maybe half a granola bar. "That was it, I know, baby. As soon as we get home, I'll make you something good." "What do you want, pancakes? We could have breakfast for dinner. With chocolate chips?" "With all the chocolate chips you want." She had no idea how they were going to get home to have those pancakes. But that was a problem for future Lisa. Right now, she just needed to keep Sophie calm and not too scared. Another car drove past, slower this time. Lisa saw the brake lights come on briefly, and for a second her heart jumped. Maybe they were stopping to help. But then the lights went off and the car kept going, disappearing into the rain and darkness. She couldn't blame them. Who stopped for strangers on the highway anymore? Everyone had heard the horror stories. Plus it was pouring rain. Most people probably didn't even see them sitting there. Lisa looked at her phone again even though she knew it was pointless. Still no signal. The battery was at 23%. She should probably turn it off, save what little power was left. But the thought of sitting there in the dark with no connection to the outside world at all made her stomach clench. "Can I play a game on your phone?" Sophie asked. "Not right now, sweetie. The battery's low." Oh, that one little word carried so much disappointment. Sophie had been so patient all day. She'd sat quietly in the hospital waiting room, coloring in her coloring book and not complaining. She'd been good in the car, talking about her day at school and singing along to the radio. She deserved to play a game on the phone. She deserved so much more than this. Lisa turned around in her seat so she could see her daughter better. Sophie was hugging the stuffed bunny tight, her brown eyes wide in the dim light from the dashboard. "Come here," Lisa said, unbuckling her seatbelt. Sophie unbuckled too and climbed forward, squeezing between the front seats to curl up in her mother's lap. She was getting too big for this, really. Almost 7 years old, but right now she fit perfectly. Lisa wrapped her arms around her daughter and pressed a kiss to the top of her head. Sophie's hair smelled like the strawberry shampoo they used and a little bit like the antiseptic smell that clung to everything in the hospital. "Are we going to be okay?" Sophie whispered. "We're always okay. Haven't we always been okay?" "Yeah, so we'll be okay now too. Maybe someone will drive by and stop. Or maybe I'll get a signal on my phone. Or maybe the car will just decide to start working again. Cars don't decide things, Mommy. They're not alive." Despite everything, Lisa smiled. "You're right. That was silly of me." They sat there together, listening to the rain. It had been just the two of them for 4 years now, since Sophie's dad had decided being a father was too hard and left. Lisa had been angry at first, then sad, then eventually just tired. But they'd managed. She'd worked hard, sometimes 2 jobs. They'd moved to a smaller apartment. They'd learned to make do with less. And they'd been okay. Not great, not living the dream, but okay. This felt different, though. This felt like the moment when everything fell apart. A bright light suddenly filled the car, and Lisa's first instinct was fear. She held Sophie tighter. But then she realized it was just another car pulling up behind them. The headlights were shining right through their back window, making everything inside the car visible. "Someone's stopping," Sophie said, her voice a mix of hope and nervousness. Lisa's mind raced. This could be good. This could be someone wanting to help. Or this could be bad. This could be someone with bad intentions, seeing a woman alone with a child vulnerable on the side of the road. She watched in the side mirror as a figure got out of the car behind them. It was hard to see much in the rain and the bright headlights, but it looked like a man. He was tall, wearing what looked like a suit jacket that was already getting soaked. He walked toward them, and Lisa made a split-second decision. She cracked her window about 2 inches. Enough to talk, not enough for anyone to reach through. The man came to her window and leaned down a little. He held up both hands, palms forward, in a gesture that was clearly meant to show he wasn't a threat. "Are you okay?" he called through the rain. "I saw your hazard lights. Do you need help?" His voice was kind. That was the first thing Lisa noticed. Not threatening, not demanding, just kind and concerned. "Our car broke down," Lisa said, having to raise her voice to be heard through the crack in the window and over the sound of the rain. "I can't get it to start. Do you have anyone coming? A tow truck or someone?" "No signal." Lisa held up her phone so he could see. The man nodded, rain running down his face. He was probably in his 50s with gray showing at his temples. Even soaked and standing in the rain, there was something put together about him. "I'm David," he said. "I have signal on my phone. I can call someone for you if you'd like, or I can try to take a look at your car, though I have to warn you I'm not a mechanic." Lisa hesitated. Everything in her life had taught her to be careful, to not trust strangers, to protect herself, and especially to protect Sophie. But everything in her gut was telling her this man was genuine. "Mommy," Sophie whispered. "He has helper eyes." "What?" "Like Ms. Rodriguez at school." "Helper eyes." Lisa looked at the man again, really looked at him. He was still standing there patiently, getting more soaked by the second, waiting for her to decide. He wasn't pushing. He wasn't trying to open the door. He was just offering help and waiting to see if she'd accept it. Sometimes, Lisa thought, you just had to trust. Sometimes you had to believe that good people still existed. "Okay," she said. "Thank you. That would be really helpful." David pulled out his phone and held it up, squinting at the screen through the rain. The glow from it lit up his face, and Lisa could see him better now. He looked like someone who should be in a board meeting somewhere, not standing on the side of a highway in a downpour. His suit was expensive looking, even she could tell that, and it was getting completely ruined. "Okay, I've got signal," he said. "Let me call for a tow truck." "Do you know where you want them to take the car?" Lisa felt her throat get tight. I'm not from around here. We live about 3 hours north. I don't know any mechanics around here." David nodded like this wasn't a problem at all. "There's a good shop in Millbrook. That's about 15 miles from here. Guy who runs it is honest. I'll have them tow it there." "I can't afford—" Lisa started, then stopped. She hated admitting that out loud. Hated how it sounded. But what was the point in pretending? "I don't have much money right now." "Let's just get the car to safety first," David said gently. "We'll figure out the rest later. One problem at a time." He stepped away from the window, pressing his phone to his ear. Lisa watched him in the side mirror, pacing back and forth in the rain while he talked to someone. He kept getting hit by spray from passing cars, but he didn't seem to care. After a few minutes, he came back to her window. "Tow truck will be here in about 20 minutes, he said. "But here's the thing. They're going to take your car to Millbrook, and you two can't exactly ride in the tow truck. It's not safe, and they won't allow it anyway." Lisa's stomach dropped. She'd known that, of course, but hearing it said out loud made it real. They were stranded. Completely stranded. She had no money for a hotel, no way to rent a car, no one to call. "I can drive you," David said. "To Millbrook, I mean. There's a decent hotel there. Nothing fancy, but it's clean and safe. You and your daughter can stay there tonight. And in the morning you can figure out what's wrong with the car." "I can't ask you to do that." The words came out automatically, even though Lisa didn't know what other choice she had. "You're not asking. I'm offering." David smiled, and there was something genuine about it, something that made Lisa think of her own dad, before he'd passed away 5 years ago. That same kind of steady, reliable presence. "Look, I know you don't know me. I know this is weird, but I grew up not far from here, and my mom used to tell me a story about when I was a baby. She broke down on this exact highway, middle of winter, with me in the back seat. A stranger stopped and helped her. Got us to safety. She never forgot that. A huge truck roared past, and they both had to wait for the noise to fade. She told me that story my whole life," David continued. "Said that someday if I saw someone who needed help, I should remember that we'd needed help once too. So here I am, remembering." Sophie had been listening to everything. She tugged on Lisa's sleeve. "Mommy, I think we should go with him. My tummy really hurts from being hungry." Lisa looked at her daughter's face, pale in the dim light. She thought about sitting here in this dead car all night, waiting for morning. She thought about Sophie, scared and hungry and tired. She thought about how sometimes you just had to trust that the world had good people in it, because living like it didn't was no way to live at all. "Okay," she said. "Thank you, really. Thank you so much." "No need to thank me," David said. "Just grab whatever you need from the car. The tow truck will take care of the rest." Lisa unbuckled her seatbelt and helped Sophie climb back into the rear seat. Then she reached for her purse and Sophie's backpack. There wasn't much else worth taking. Some old CDs, a phone charger, an ice scraper that wouldn't be needed for months. Their whole life seemed to be in this car, but when it came down to it, there wasn't much that mattered. "Ready?" she asked Sophie. "Ready?" Lisa looked at her daughter. This brave little girl who'd been through so much and never complained. "We're going to get out and run to that man's car, okay? It's going to be raining hard, so hold on to my hand tight." Sophie nodded, clutching her stuffed bunny with one hand and reaching for her mother with the other. Lisa took a deep breath and opened the door. The rain hit her immediately, cold and hard. She helped Sophie out, and they ran together toward the black car parked behind theirs. David was already there, holding the back door open for them. They scrambled inside, and suddenly everything was quiet. The rain was just a muffled sound now, hitting the roof and windows but not getting to them anymore. The car was warm. It smelled like leather and something else, something expensive that Lisa couldn't quite name. Classical music was playing softly from the speakers. "Everyone okay?" David asked, getting into the driver's seat. His suit was soaked through, and he grabbed a jacket from the passenger seat and draped it over his shoulders. "We're okay," Lisa said, though her teeth were chattering a little. Sophie pressed against her side, the bunny leaving a wet spot on Lisa's shirt. David turned up the heat and adjusted the vents so they were pointing toward the back seat. "Give it a minute. You'll warm up." He pulled back onto the highway, his movements smooth and confident. This was a nice car. Lisa didn't know much about cars, but she knew enough to recognize that this one probably cost more than she made in a year. "Maybe 2 years, so," David said, glancing at them in the rearview mirror. "I'm David, as I mentioned." "And you are?" "I'm Lisa. This is my daughter, Sophie." "Nice to meet you both." "Sophie, is that a bunny you've got there?" Sophie held up the stuffed animal. "His name is Mr. Floppy. I've had him since I was little." "He looks like a very good bunny," David said seriously. "I had a stuffed bear when I was your age. Called him Captain Bear. My mom still has him somewhere, I think." Sophie smiled, and Lisa felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. Anyone who could make her daughter smile right now was okay in her book. "So what brings you out on the highway on a night like this?" David asked. Lisa hesitated, then figured there was no point in hiding anything. "We were at the hospital. My mom is sick. She's getting treatment, and we try to visit when we can. It's a long drive, but Sophie likes to see her grandmother. Grandma is getting better," Sophie added. "She lost all her hair, but she says it's going to grow back even prettier than before." "I bet it will," David said gently. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Lisa watched the rain streak across the windows, the headlights illuminating the road ahead. She was in a car with a complete stranger, taking her daughter to a town she'd never been to, with no money and no plan. 3 hours ago, if someone had told her this would happen, she would have said she'd never do something so risky. But somehow, it didn't feel risky. It felt like being helped. "How old are you, Sophie?" David asked. 6. "I'll be 7 in 2 months and 3 days. 2 months and 3 days. That's very specific, I'm counting. Mommy says we can have a birthday party this year, at the park with my friends from school." Lisa felt a pang in her chest. She'd promised that party, but now with the car repairs, she didn't know if they could afford it. She'd figure something out, though. She always did. "The park sounds like a great place for a party," David said. "What kind of cake are you going to have?" "Chocolate, with vanilla frosting and rainbow sprinkles." "Excellent choice." They exited the highway, and Lisa saw a sign that said, "Millbrook, 5 miles." The rain was letting up a little now, not quite as torrential as before. David drove through the darkness, seeming to know exactly where he was going. "You said you grew up around here?" Lisa asked. "Not in Millbrook, but close. About 30 miles east. Little town called Cedar Falls. I left when I was 18 for college and never really moved back, but I still visit sometimes. My mom's still there." "Do you live far from here now?" "About an hour and a half north. I was actually heading home from a business meeting when I saw your car." He paused. "I almost didn't stop." Lisa felt cold again despite the heat blowing on her. "What made you change your mind?" "Honestly, I saw the stuffed animal in your back window. I figured there was a kid in the car. I have 2 daughters myself. They're grown now, but I kept thinking, what if it was one of them broken down on the highway? I'd want someone to stop." "Well, I'm glad you did." They pulled into Millbrook, and Lisa saw it was bigger than she'd expected. There were streetlights and stores, a gas station, a couple of restaurants. David drove through the main street and pulled into the parking lot of a building with a sign that said, "Millbrook Motor Works." "This is the mechanic I mentioned," David said. "Joe's a good guy. He's probably closed now, but the tow truck will drop your car here. We can come back in the morning." The building was dark, but Lisa could see it looked clean and professional. There was a sign in the window that listed prices for different services. She tried to calculate in her head what the repair might cost, but without knowing what was wrong, it was impossible to guess. The hotel is just a few blocks from here, David said, pulling back out onto the street. The Millbrook Inn. Like I said, nothing fancy, but it's decent. He drove them through the quiet town, past closed shops and a small park, and pulled up in front of a 2-story building with a neon sign that said vacancy. The parking lot was mostly empty. Wait here a second, David said, getting out of the car. Through the glass doors of the lobby, Lisa watched him go inside and talk to someone at the front desk. He pulled out his wallet. Her stomach clenched. He was paying for their room. A stranger was paying for their hotel room because she was too broke to do it herself. She felt Sophie lean against her, heavy with exhaustion. It was almost 9 o'clock now, way past her bedtime. David came back to the car, opened Lisa's door, and handed her a keycard. Room 204, second floor. They said the breakfast starts at 6:30 if you're up early. I can't let you pay for this, Lisa said, even as she took the keycard. Consider it a loan then. Pay it forward someday when you can. David smiled. Come on, let's get you both inside. He helped carry their bags, walking them up the exterior stairs to the second floor. Room 204 was at the end of the hall. Lisa unlocked the door and flipped on the light. It was a basic room. 2 double beds with floral comforters, a TV on a dresser, a small bathroom. But it was clean and dry and warm, and right now it looked like a palace. There's a diner 2 blocks that way, David said, pointing. The Riverside. They're open until 10. They've got great burgers. Lisa's pride warred with her daughter's hunger. Pride lost. Thank you. David pulled out his wallet again and handed her some bills. Lisa tried not to look at how much it was, but she caught a glimpse. $60 for dinner, he said, and breakfast tomorrow if you need it. I don't know how to thank you. Lisa's voice cracked a little. I don't know how to repay this. You don't need to repay anything. Just take care of that little girl and yourself. He knelt down so he was at Sophie's level. Sophie, you take care of your mom, okay? Make sure she eats dinner and gets some sleep. Sophie nodded solemnly. I will. David stood back up and pulled out his wallet one more time. He handed Lisa a business card. That's got my cell number on it. Call me in the morning after you've talked to Joe about the car. We'll figure out next steps. Lisa looked at the card. It was simple, cream-colored, with just a name and phone number. David Chen. No company name, no job title. Just a name and a way to reach him. I should get going, David said. Long drive home still. But you two are going to be fine. I can tell. You're tougher than you think. He gave them a little wave and headed back down the stairs. Lisa stood in the doorway watching him go. When he reached the parking lot, he looked back up and waved again. Then he got in his car and drove away, the taillights disappearing into the night. Lisa closed the door and locked it. She looked around the room at the clean beds and the TV and the little coffee maker on the dresser. Sophie was already kicking off her wet shoes. Mommy, can we really go get burgers? Yeah, baby. We can really go get burgers. With French fries? With all the French fries you want. Sophie threw her arms around Lisa's waist. This was scary, but it turned out okay. Lisa hugged her daughter tight, breathing in that strawberry shampoo smell. Yeah, she whispered. It turned out okay. She thought about the man named David driving home in his expensive car. She thought about how he'd stopped in the rain, how he'd helped without asking for anything, how he'd treated them with kindness when he could have just driven past. She thought about his mother, broken down with a baby, helped by another stranger years ago. Maybe the world wasn't as hard as she'd thought. Maybe there were still good people in it. Maybe sometimes when everything fell apart, someone showed up to help put it back together. Lisa grabbed the room key in her purse. Come on, Sophie. Let's go get those burgers before they close. Hand in hand, they headed back out into the night, this time not afraid but grateful. Lisa woke up to sunlight streaming through the gap in the curtains. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The broken-down car, the rain. The stranger who'd helped them. She turned her head and saw Sophie still asleep in the other bed, curled up around Mr. Floppy, her hair spread across the pillow. They'd eaten burgers last night at the diner David had told them about. Sophie had gotten cheese fries and a chocolate milkshake. And for the first time in weeks, Lisa had seen her daughter truly relaxed. They'd walked back to the hotel full and tired, and Sophie had fallen asleep almost as soon as her head hit the pillow. Lisa had stayed awake longer, sitting on the edge of her bed, turning David's business card over and over in her hands. She'd wanted to look him up online, see who he really was. But her phone battery was almost dead and she'd used the last of it to text her mom that they were safe. Her mom had been worried sick, of course. Lisa had tried to explain without making it sound as scary as it had been. Now, in the morning light, Lisa checked the clock on the nightstand. 7:15. The mechanic shop probably opened at 8. She should call David, let him know they were awake, see what the next step was. But first, she needed to let Sophie sleep a little longer. The kid had been through enough yesterday. Lisa got up quietly and pulled back the curtain a little more. Millbrook looked different in the daylight, almost charming. The street below was starting to wake up. She could see people walking, a few cars driving past, someone opening up the bakery across the street. It reminded her of the small town where she'd grown up, before she'd moved to the city for work. Her stomach growled. The hotel had free breakfast downstairs, David had mentioned. She wondered if Sophie would wake up soon. They could eat, then head to the mechanic shop. Then face whatever bad news was waiting for them about the car. Lisa sat back down on the bed and picked up the business card again. Just a name and a number. David Chen. She wondered what he did for a living. That car he'd been driving probably cost $60,000 or $70,000. Maybe more. His suit had looked expensive too, even soaking wet. But he hadn't acted rich. He'd acted normal, kind, like helping stranded strangers was just something people did. Sophie stirred, making a small sound. Then her eyes opened. "Morning, baby," Lisa said softly. "Are we still at the hotel?" "We are. You hungry?" "They have breakfast downstairs." Sophie sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Can we call the nice man?" "I want to say thank you properly." Lisa smiled. Even at 6 years old, Sophie understood gratitude. "Yeah, we'll call him. Let's get ready first." They took turns in the shower, got dressed in the spare clothes they'd brought for visiting Grandma. Lisa tried to make Sophie's hair look presentable, but without the right brush, it was a losing battle. Sophie didn't seem to care. She was too excited about the breakfast buffet. Downstairs in the small dining area, they loaded up plates with scrambled eggs, toast, and fruit. Sophie got a waffle from the waffle maker and drowned it in syrup. They sat by the window and Lisa watched her daughter eat, grateful that at least today started better than yesterday ended. "Mommy, what if the car costs too much money to fix?" Lisa had been wondering the same thing all night. "Then we'll figure something else out." "Like what?" "I don't know yet. But we always figure things out, don't we?" Sophie nodded, chewing her waffle. "Grandma says you're the strongest person she knows." "Grandma's biased." "What's biased mean?" "It means she loves me, so she thinks I'm better than I actually am." "I think you're strong too," Sophie said. "And I'm not biased. I'm just right." Lisa laughed, really laughed for the first time in days. "Okay, you're just right. Now finish your breakfast so we can go see about the car." After they ate, Lisa pulled out David's card and her phone. The battery was at 5%. She'd have to make this quick. She dialed the number, her heart beating a little faster than it should. He answered on the second ring. "Hello, David? It's Lisa from last night. The broken-down car." "Lisa, good morning. How did you sleep?" "Really well, actually. The room was perfect, and Sophie loved the diner. Thank you again for everything, I'm glad. Have you been to see Joe yet?" "Not yet. We just finished breakfast. I was going to head over there now." "I'll meet you there," David said. "I'm actually not far away. I can be there in about 15 minutes. You don't have to do that. You've already done so much. I want to make sure Joe treats you fairly. He's honest, but it doesn't hurt to have someone there who knows him. Besides, I'm curious what's wrong with your car." Lisa wanted to argue, but the truth was she'd feel better with him there. "Okay, thank you. See you soon." Lisa hung up and looked at Sophie. "Ready to go see about our car? Is the nice man coming?" "Yeah, he's meeting us there," Sophie smiled. "Good, I like him. Me too, baby." "Me too." They walked the few blocks to Millbrook Motor Works. The morning was cool and clear, yesterday's storm completely gone. The air smelled fresh and clean. Sophie skipped along beside her, humming a song from school. When they got to the shop, Lisa could see her car parked in the lot, looking sad and defeated among the other vehicles. A man in coveralls was standing near the open hood looking at something inside. "That must be Joe," Lisa said. They walked over, and the man looked up. He was older, maybe in his 60s with gray hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "You must be Lisa," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "I'm Joe. David called me this morning, told me about your situation. Nice to meet you." "Any idea what's wrong?" Joe made a face that Lisa recognized immediately. It was the face mechanics made when the news wasn't good. "Well, you've got a few problems. The main one is your transmission. It's shot, basically. I'm surprised you made it as far as you did." Lisa felt her heart sink. "How much to fix it?" "A new transmission, with labor. You're looking at around $1,800. Maybe $2,000. The number hit Lisa like a physical blow. She didn't have $1,800. She didn't have $800. She had $43 in her checking account and a maxed-out credit card. "What if we don't fix the transmission?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Then the car's not going anywhere." "I'm sorry." Sophie tugged on Lisa's hand. "Mommy?" "It's okay, sweetie. Just give me a minute to think," but there was nothing to think about. She couldn't afford to fix the car, which meant she couldn't get home, which meant she couldn't get to work, which meant she'd probably lose her job, which meant everything would fall apart even faster than it already was. A black car pulled into the lot and Lisa recognized it immediately. David parked and got out, looking more put together than he had last night. His suit was dry and pressed, his hair neat. He looked like what he was, someone successful, someone who didn't have to worry about $1,800 car repairs. "Morning," he said, walking over. "Joe, good to see you." "David," Joe shook his hand. "I was just telling Lisa about her transmission." David looked at Lisa's face and seemed to understand immediately. "That bad?" $1,800 to fix it," Lisa said quietly. "I don't have that kind of money." David was quiet for a moment. Then he turned to Joe. "Can you fix it?" "Sure, if she wants me to. I can probably have it done by tomorrow afternoon." "Do it," David said. "I'll cover the cost." "No." The word came out of Lisa's mouth before she could stop it. "No, I can't let you do that. You've already done too much, Lisa. I mean it. The hotel room, the dinner, driving us here, all of that was already incredibly generous. But this is $2,000. That's too much. I can't accept that." David looked at her for a long moment. "What's your plan then?" "I don't know. I'll figure something out. Maybe I can get a loan, or I'll sell the car for parts and use that money to get bus tickets home." "The car's not worth much in its current condition," Joe said apologetically. "Maybe $500 if you're lucky." $500? That wouldn't even cover a month's rent. Sophie was very quiet, pressed against Lisa's side. Lisa could feel her daughter's anxiety like a physical thing. David crouched down so he was at Sophie's level again. "Sophie, can I talk to your mom alone for just 1 minute?" Sophie looked at Lisa, who nodded. "You can go sit on that bench over there. I can see you the whole time." Sophie walked over to a bench near the shop entrance, Mr. Floppy clutched tight. David stood back up and moved a few steps away. Lisa followed, her chest tight with embarrassment and frustration and fear. "Listen," David said quietly. "I understand pride. I really do. And I respect that you don't want to take charity. But let me tell you something. 10 years ago, my business almost went under. I'd made some bad decisions, trusted the wrong people, and I was weeks away from losing everything. A friend loaned me money to keep the doors open. $50,000, Lisa stared at him. $50,000? I told him I'd pay him back with interest. He said the same thing I'm telling you now. Pay it forward instead. When you're in a position to help someone else, help them. That's how you repay me. But $2,000 is money I can afford to spend. Lisa, I'm not rich because I'm smart or special. I'm rich because I got lucky and worked hard and people helped me when I needed it. Right now, you need help. Your daughter needs help. Let me do this." Lisa felt tears burning in her eyes. She tried to blink them back. "I don't know when I'll be able to pay it forward. It might be years, that's okay. It might be years before you meet someone who needs help like you do right now. But when you do, you'll help them. And they'll help someone else someday. That's how it works. Why are you doing this? You don't even know us," David smiled. "I told you. My mom broke down on the highway with me when I was a baby. Someone helped her. She never forgot it, and neither did I. Maybe Sophie will remember this someday too. Maybe she'll help someone." Lisa looked over at her daughter sitting on the bench swinging her legs. 6 years old, and already she'd learned that life was hard, that money was always tight, that her mom had to fight for everything. Maybe she deserved to learn something else too. That people could be kind. That help came when you needed it. That the world wasn't always cold and hard. Okay, Lisa said softly. Okay, thank you. I don't know how to thank you enough, but okay. David's smile widened. You just did. He turned to Joe. Fix it up. Do whatever else needs doing while you're at it. Oil change, brake pads, whatever you think it needs. You got it, Joe said. And Lisa, David continued, while the car's being fixed, I already called the hotel. You've got the room for another night on me. No arguments. You and Sophie can have a day to rest. Maybe explore the town a little. There's a nice park down by the river. Ice cream shop on Main Street. Make a little adventure out of it. Lisa didn't know what to say. The words caught in her throat. This man, this stranger, was giving her something she hadn't had in years. Time. Time to breathe. Time to not panic. Time to just be with her daughter without worry crushing her chest. I don't know what to say, she managed. Say, you'll go get some ice cream and enjoy your day. Lisa laughed through the tears that were finally falling. Okay, we'll get ice cream. David pulled out his wallet and handed her some more bills. Lisa didn't even look at how much it was. She was beyond pride now. Beyond pretending she didn't need this. For lunch, dinner, whatever you need, he said. My number's on that card. Call me if you need anything at all. I mean it. I will. David walked over to Sophie and crouched down again. Your mom and I figured everything out. Joe's going to fix your car and it'll be ready tomorrow. So you've got a whole day to explore Millbrook. I hear the ice cream shop makes the best chocolate chip cookie dough in the state. Sophie's face lit up. Really? Really? You should definitely check it out. Will you come with us? David looked surprised. Oh, I have to get to work, but please? Sophie gave him the look that Lisa knew was impossible to resist. The one with the big eyes and the hopeful smile. Just for a little bit? David looked at Lisa, who shrugged. You heard her, please. He checked his watch, then smiled. You know what? Work can wait. Let's go get some ice cream. Sophie jumped off the bench and grabbed his hand like she'd known him her whole life. Come on. I want to see if they have rainbow sprinkles too. Lisa watched her daughter pull this successful businessman toward the street, chattering about ice cream flavors, and she felt something in her chest loosen. Something that had been wound tight for months, maybe years. They walked together through Millbrook, the three of them, as the morning sunshine warmed the sidewalks. Sophie skipped between them, holding both their hands. People they passed smiled at them, probably thinking they were a family. A dad with his wife and daughter out for a morning walk. Lisa didn't correct them. Just for today, she let herself pretend that life could be this easy. That help came when you needed it. That strangers could become friends. That everything would be okay. The ice cream shop was painted bright blue with white trim. Inside, it smelled like waffle cones and vanilla. Sophie pressed her face against the glass case, trying to decide between 12 different flavors. Can I really get anyone I want? She asked David. Anyone you want. With sprinkles. Rainbow sprinkles. Sophie ended up getting chocolate chip cookie dough with rainbow sprinkles in a waffle cone. Lisa got vanilla. David got butter pecan. They sat outside on a bench eating ice cream at 9:30 in the morning, and it was perfect. This is the best day, Sophie declared, ice cream on her chin. Even with the car being broken, this is the best day. Lisa met David's eyes over her daughter's head. He smiled and she smiled back. Yeah, Lisa said quietly. It really is. 3 months had passed since that rainy night on the highway. 3 months since David had stopped to help them. 3 months since Lisa had learned that sometimes the world surprised you in good ways. The car was running better than it had in years. Joe had fixed the transmission and, true to David's word, had done a full tune-up. Lisa had driven it home that day with Sophie singing in the back seat. Both of them still talking about their adventure in Millbrook. Lisa had tried to call David a few times after that, to thank him again, to ask for his address so she could at least send a proper thank you card. But he'd been hard to reach. He'd texted back once saying he was traveling for work, not to worry, and that he was just glad they got home safely. She still had his business card in her wallet. She looked at it sometimes, that simple cream-colored card with just a name and number, David Chen. She'd tried Googling him once, but there were thousands of David Chens in the world. Without a company name or a city, she'd given up. Life had gotten a little better. Her mom's treatment was working. The doctors were optimistic. Sophie was thriving in first grade, making friends and bringing home artwork that Lisa hung on the fridge. Lisa had even gotten a small raise at work. Nothing major, but enough to breathe a little easier. She'd started keeping a jar on her kitchen counter. Every time she had a few extra dollars, she put them in the jar. $5 here, $10 there. She labeled it "Pay It Forward" in Sophie's messy handwriting. She didn't know when or how she'd use it, but she wanted to be ready. Like David had said, someday she'd meet someone who needed help. Now, on a Wednesday afternoon in late January, Lisa sat in a conference room at work, wondering why her manager had called this emergency all-hands meeting. The email had gone out that morning to everyone in the company. Mandatory attendance. No details about what it was about. "Do you think we're getting laid off?" whispered Karen from accounting, sitting next to Lisa. "I don't know. Maybe they're announcing a merger or something." The room was filling up fast. Lisa had never seen this many people from the company in one place before. She worked in marketing for a mid-sized firm that made software for retail businesses. It was boring work, but it paid the bills. Most days she only interacted with her small team. Now looking around, she realized the company was bigger than she'd thought. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. "How's Sophie doing with the new teacher?" Lisa smiled and texted back, "Great. She loves Ms. Patterson. Call you tonight." Her mom had been asking about Sophie constantly lately. Ever since she'd started feeling better, she'd been more involved, more present. It was nice. It felt like getting her mother back. "Okay, everyone, let's settle down." Lisa looked up. Her manager, Tom, was standing at the front of the room with a microphone. Behind him was a large screen, currently showing the company logo. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," Tom continued. "We've got some important news to share. As you know, our company is owned by Chen Industries, one of the largest technology conglomerates in the country." Lisa had known that, vaguely. It wasn't something she thought about much. There were layers of corporate structure above her that she didn't really understand or care about. Today, the CEO of Chen Industries is here to talk to us about the company's vision and direction. Please welcome David Chen. The room erupted in polite applause. Lisa clapped along with everyone else, only half paying attention. She was already thinking about what she needed to finish before the end of the day. Then the screen changed. A face appeared on it, a familiar face. Lisa's hand stopped mid-clap. No, that couldn't be right. On the screen was David. Her David. The man who'd stopped in the rain. The man who'd fixed her car. The man who'd bought Sophie ice cream and listened to her talk about school and told them to pay it forward. But this wasn't casual David in a rain-soaked suit. This was professional David in a crisp navy suit and tie, looking like he belonged on the cover of a business magazine. The screen showed bullet points about his background. CEO of Chen Industries. Started the company 20 years ago. Grew it from a small startup to a multi-billion-dollar corporation, featured in Fortune magazine's top 100 most influential business leaders. Lisa felt like all the air had left the room. "That's David Chen," Karen whispered, impressed. "He's like a legend in the tech world. Worth billions. Billions. The man who'd helped them on the highway was worth billions of dollars." David walked onto the small stage they'd set up at the front of the room. In person, he looked exactly like he had that day in Millbrook, just more polished. Same kind eyes. Same genuine smile. "Thank you all for being here," he said, his voice carrying easily through the room. "I know these all-hands meetings can be disruptive to your day, so I'll try to keep this brief." Lisa couldn't move. She sat frozen in her chair, staring at him. Her heart was pounding so hard she was sure Karen could hear it. "I wanted to come talk to you personally about where Chen Industries is going and what that means for all of you," David continued. "We're not just a holding company. We're a family of businesses that are all working toward the same goal, making technology that helps people, that serves people, that remembers there are actual human beings using what we create." He clicked to the next slide, which showed a graph of company growth. "This year, we're investing heavily in our subsidiary companies. That includes this one. We're expanding your team, increasing budgets for innovation, and making sure you have the resources you need to do great work." More applause. Lisa barely heard it. She was still trying to process what she was seeing. "But more than that," David said, "I want you to know that we care about you as people, not just as employees. We're rolling out new programs for family support, mental health resources, and professional development, because I believe that when we take care of our people, they do amazing things." He talked for another 10 minutes about company values and future plans. Lisa heard maybe half of it. The rest of the time, she was just watching him. This man who'd been so kind to her and Sophie, trying to reconcile him with the billionaire CEO on the stage. Finally, he wrapped up. I'll be around for a bit if anyone wants to talk. Thank you all again for your hard work and dedication. More applause. People started standing up, gathering their things, talking excitedly about the new programs he'd announced. Lisa sat there, unable to move. That was actually pretty inspiring, Karen said. Most CEOs just send a memo. He seems like a decent guy. Yeah, Lisa managed. He does, Karen left. Other people filed out. Lisa knew she should go too. She had work to do. But her legs wouldn't cooperate. Then across the room, David looked in her direction. Their eyes met. His face changed. Just a flicker of something. Recognition, surprise, maybe pleasure. He smiled, a real smile. Not the professional CEO smile he'd been wearing. He was walking toward her. Oh God, he was walking toward her. Lisa stood up quickly, nearly knocking over her chair. Her mind was racing. Should she say something? Pretend she didn't know him? Run, Lisa? He said her name like a question, like he couldn't quite believe it either. Hi, she said. Her voice came out higher than normal. Hi, David. You work here? He looked genuinely surprised. Yeah, I'm in marketing. Have been for 2 years, he laughed, shaking his head. 2 years. You've worked for my company for 2 years and I helped you on the highway without knowing. I didn't know either. I mean, I knew the company was owned by someone, but I didn't. She was babbling. She forced herself to stop. How's Sophie? David asked. How's your mom? The fact that he remembered their names made Lisa's throat tight. They're both great. Mom's treatment is working. Sophie's in first grade now and loving it. And the car? Running perfectly. Joe did an amazing job. They stood there for a moment, the conference room emptying around them. Lisa was aware that people were looking at them, curious about why the CEO was talking to someone from marketing. I tried to call you, Lisa said. A few times. To thank you properly, but you were traveling, I know. I'm sorry about that. Work got crazy, but I'm glad everything worked out. It did. More than worked out. She paused, trying to find the right words. You changed our lives that night. You know that, right? David looked uncomfortable the way he had when she'd tried to thank him in Millbrook. I just helped with a car. No, you did more than that. You showed my daughter that people can be good. You showed me that too. I'd forgotten. Someone cleared their throat behind David. Lisa looked over and saw a woman in a sharp suit holding a tablet. She looked impatient. Mr. Chen, your next meeting is in 10 minutes. Right. David turned back to Lisa. I have to go, but do you have a minute later today? Maybe we could grab coffee in the building cafe. Sure, yes, definitely. 4 o'clock? I'll be there. David smiled, gave her a little wave, and walked away. The woman with the tablet already talking to him about schedules and conference calls. Lisa stood there for another minute, alone in the nearly empty conference room. Then she pulled out her phone and called her mom. Hey, honey, is everything okay? Mom, you're not going to believe what just happened. She told her the whole story, words tumbling over each other. Her mom listened, occasionally gasping or laughing. So the man who helped you is your boss's boss's boss? Her mom said when Lisa finally finished. Apparently. And he's a billionaire. An actual billionaire.